Broadcasting from the heart of downtown Hollywood. This is SoFloRadio.com.
Stuart Reed, attorney, mediator, and yoga instructor. Here for the next hour to talk about law, mediation, and yoga. So let's drop into our breath and come to order. The show is now in session.
Wow, welcome to SoFloRadio.com and the very first episode of Stuart Reed, Law and Mediation Yogi. This is Stuart Reed right here if you're watching on the video from, I guess, right to left. Stuart Reed, our guest Moses Love, Zayna DeGaia, and of course the man of the hour, Stuart Reed, Law and Mediation Yogi, and explaining that is what we're going to do on the first show. And right now, Stuart, welcome to SoFloRadio.com, sir.
Super, my good friend George, Moses, Zayna. We're going to have Deedre in here soon. They're the three partners who opened the brand new I Love Yoga studio in Dania Beach, on Dania Beach Boulevard, very close to the beach. And we're going to talk about today how can yoga and mindfulness benefit people who are in high conflict, stressful situations, maybe in a lawsuit, a divorce, could be a dispute with your condo association or your neighbor. I think that yoga is something that helps people to be more present and in touch with their feelings and their values. In fact, yoga itself means unity. So you're getting in touch with what are your true values and not letting somebody else think for you. And so I brought my two yoga instructors here. They teach the teacher training program at the I Love Yoga studio. And I took their training program last year. It was my birthday present to myself for my 50th birthday. And Zayna had her own show here and still does, right?
I do, yeah. Right here where you're sitting.
And that very seat.
And Moses was a radio celebrity
They
in
did
a
a show
prior
out
life,
of,
right?
out of your studio with my partner Chris.
Absolutely. Love Soul Flow Radio. It's great to be here.
It's South Florida's community radio station, and we're not snobs, obviously, because Stuart's here. Radio.
But I had to knock a lot on the door before you let
That's
me
right.
in.
You had to convince me. You had to talk me into it. But nevertheless, Stuart's a quality person, as are all the people in the studio today, except possibly me. You know, I'm a little sketchy. You know, us broadcasters. But I can't wait for you to get going and to get the wheels rolling, and I want to know more about the yoga and how it ties into to the law.
Well, let's do that then. But first, I just want to say hi to my friends Anna Paula and Pete Healy, who just said hi. They're here. Welcome to the show. You got any questions? You got any jokes? We're here.
We're streaming on how many 5 different platforms right now?
Yeah, we've got my Facebook Live. We're on SoFloRadio.com. We're on Moses's.
We're on Ustream
Facebook
right
Live.
now. The SoFloTelevision.com has a live and different angles. You could just fire up all of your media and and dial up a different angle for us. As a matter of fact, if you want to see Zayna, we're gonna have to install a camera over here behind me. That's important. We should have done that. We should have just changed all the seating arrangements so that Zayna's sitting where you are.
Well, very happy to have her over
You're
there.
so silly, George.
Yeah, I'm told all the time that I'm lucky that my daughter looks like her mom.
Yeah, you are. I get told that. Oh, it's a good thing that you're in radio. You have a face for radio. That old joke. It's like,
So we're brothers.
So I'm glad you got these people are watching on Facebook Live.
Yeah, still it's great. Anna and Pete. And it's about quality, not quantity. So we're ahead of the game.
Share it. Share the feed.
These are super people. So the idea for the radio show came up because I was planning a new marketing and promotion campaign where I was going to be filming video clips to put on my website about different legal topics. And I'm redecorating my office and probably going to get a green screen. And George, I knew, produces shows, and I figured I could just do a whole hour-long show and then take little clips out of it that maybe to put on my website. But then it's got to be an interesting show. What would make it interesting? Not just to talk about dry legal topics, but I am a yoga instructor. Why not talk about Law and Mediation Yogi. So I guess that's my new title.
Excellent.
And I think that yoga can help lawyers. In fact, there was a whole bar edition from the Florida Bar Journal, not a bar where people go to drink, but the Florida Bar that licenses attorneys. They have a monthly magazine called the Florida Bar Journal. And last year in April, they had an edition called Mindfulness Edition for lawyers. In fact, there's a program at the University of Miami Law School, Mindfulness in the Law. And when I went into it, I saw that there's a lot of books out there, Yoga for Lawyers, Mindfulness for Lawyers. It seems to me that the lawyers are finding a lot of value from yoga because when you're somebody's attorney, you're pretty much carrying their weight for them. You got their burdens on your shoulders, and maybe even more so because you're expected to perform and give results, and you want happy clients. Unhappy clients are not good. I like happy clients. So you always have to do your best. In fact, my father taught me, he was an attorney, that the secret to being a successful lawyer is to be better prepared than the other guy. So you always got to do your research and plan things out.
Stuart, I have a question for you. Like,
Thank you.
in the industry, is being a lawyer considered a high-stress job amongst lawyers?
All the time when
Yeah.
people talk about the legal profession, they say lawyers have a high rate of substance abuse and burnout. They quit the legal profession, suicides, unfortunately.
Well, I think
So-
you're working with a lot of people that aren't able to resolve disputes on their own, so they turn to lawyers to do it for them. And oftentimes, when that happens, it could get a little bit ugly. And so, yeah, I can imagine the stress level of that, where people aren't so rational, and it's like people want to be right, make other people wrong.
And they rely on you, and a lot of times,
Does it
and
feel
this
like a
is
lot
something.
of pressure? I'm hearing like a lot of pressure.
Well, there's also sometimes a struggle with the lawyer and the client too. A lot of clients, unfortunately, can think of their lawyer as a tool. You're here to do what I say. You're here to do what that's certainly not the lawyer's job. The lawyer has to be a professional and use good judgment and give good advice. And if you think something is against your client's interest, or certainly if it's unethical and not permitted by the rules of professional conduct, you steer clear of it. It's sort of like the doctor's motto, do no harm. So, yeah, somebody will come to you and they'll want to use you as their tool to accomplish their objectives, but they want to do it their way. The best advice that I hear lawyers tell clients frequently is, take your lawyer's advice. When things go bad, it's usually when people think they know better than their lawyer, and they are telling you to do something that, based on your professional experience and education.
I can confirm that that's true. Specifically, this lawyer once gave me advice, and I said, no, I'm too angry. I want to do something. I want to do things another way. And I should have taken my lawyer's advice. I absolutely should have. So I can endorse that opinion. I can endorse that position.
Want to talk about it a little bit? You don't have to give
No.
specifics. Or?
Well, you are a mediator, okay? And I don't think enough can be said about mediation and mediators and the value of mediating peacefully. Certainly, there would be no wars and everything that is a result of that, like children dying and the destruction and everything that is a result of war. If people could mediate their differences peacefully, so anyone who facilitates that process, I think, is doing a great amount of good in the world, and everyone would be wise to take the advice of a mediator. So, and I did not, and I chose war, and it was bad. It was bad for everybody.
Well, mediation isn't necessarily a way to get what you want, but it's a way to have certainty.
You're not going to
And
get what you want with war either, so mediation is
So-
better.
So if somebody doesn't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars on legal fees in a lawsuit, or they don't want to risk losing a case and getting nothing, or maybe getting whacked with a judgment that they can't afford to pay, there's value in settling a lawsuit so that you have certainty and you can move on. A very common saying among mediators is that a good settlement is something that both parties aren't happy about.
Yeah.
But they can live with. And one thing that I'm glad you brought up mediation, because it was a point that I wanted to get across in the show today about like the similarity of being a mediator and a yoga instructor. It's about holding space. This is something that Moses and Zayna taught us in the teacher training program, that one of your main responsibilities as a yoga instructor is to have a hold space, they call in the yoga community, by giving a place where people feel comfortable, they feel safe, they feel supported. And as a mediator, I'm not there to tell people what to do or to guide anything in one particular direction. I'm there to empower people to be able to express themselves, to express their objectives, their point of view, to be heard, and so they can make the best informed decisions on their own that they can make. I love mediating. I mean, if I could just mediate all day, well, I would still be teaching yoga. But and there's a rush you get from going to court and doing trials too. But being an attorney, that kind of job is sometimes that wakes you up in the middle of the night. Oh, did I forget to do this? I got to do that. Because being a lawyer, you want the results. You want to win. And your client is almost like your family member. You're married to that person. You owe them a lot of responsibility, and you have to listen. And as far as people, mediation, like I said, holding space and feeling safe. Yeah, a lot of being a lawyer, I think, is also just making your clients feel less afraid. You could hit decline. Whoever that is doesn't need to talk to me now.
Stu,
I'll call you later.
You were saying that your father was a lawyer. So
Yes.
I would imagine your father being a lawyer influenced you to become a lawyer. What influenced you to become a yoga teacher and study yogic teachings? Because was there an influence in your life, or did you just stumble upon it?
Well, it was you and Zayna, actually.
But you were practicing yoga 20 years ago,
I've
right?
been practicing yoga for almost as long as I've been a lawyer. I started practicing yoga in 1997, and I graduated law school in 92 and started working full-time as a lawyer in 94. I took a little time off, as you know, to go to a kibbutz, and I was in Israel for a while. But last year, or a little more than a year ago, just the space opened up in my life to join your teacher training program. I was going to their yoga studio, taking their classes. They have the most delicious yoga classes. I've been to so many studios, and it's sometimes hit or miss, but even when it's a miss, there's always value from yoga. So let's say you've tried yoga and you think, oh, it's not for me, I didn't like the class. Well, then you didn't go to the right place. There's a yoga home for everybody. So the I Love Yoga studio in Dania Beach, I'd been going there for a few years and seeing their posters for the teacher training program, and didn't really have the space in my life at that time. But then I turned 50 last year, and the teacher training program came up, and I thought, that would be a good way to give myself some good direction for the rest of my life, so that I'll stay in good shape. I won't have this bad back pain like I used to have. For like 2 weeks, I couldn't walk because of sciatica, and I cured it with yoga. So I'm a believer in the value, and I'm also a believer in the peace and confidence. So I knew that I for the rest of my life, if I stick with it, I can stay healthy, keep my mind clear. And there's so many nice people at the yoga studio.
Yeah,
so,
you can meet a lot of people.
Yeah, so if you feel isolated, it's a great way to meet friends. Are you putting your hand out there?
No, I'm just, I was thinking, so when you went through the training program, I know for you, because you're also a musician, and you write music and you play, and you wrote a song about the yamas and the niyamas, and the yamas and niyamas are like the 10 Commandments. They're like the ethics in some way of yoga. It's the foundation of the 8-limb path, and I know this was something that you were inspired by.
It resonated with me.
Did when you learned about the yamas and niyamas, was any of that beneficial to bringing into the law profession?
I think it's beneficial for me to give perspective to clients, like the aparigraha, non-attachment, because if you're attached to certain results and, I'm going to keep fighting until I get this particular result. Well, one of these yoga ethics, things that you're supposed to refrain from doing is being too attached to things, to be able to give up things, not only materially, so that you don't feel like you rely on your accumulations, that you could feel confident in your abilities to perform and produce here and now and not what you've already done. I think that helps people in a lawsuit too. Like, you got to be able to let go sometimes so that you don't maybe put yourself in a worse position, because a lot of times people will spend more than they have. I mean, if you got a lot of money to spend on a lawyer and it's not going to affect you, then okay, then you do what you want. But for a lot of people, it's a big concern. It's a very major event in their life when they have to hire a lawyer.
Wouldn't some lawyers, if they didn't have maybe the ethics and the principles, want to keep the case going because they're making money? And if you have, more ethics, then you want to resolve it, even if you're going to make less money?
I hear you.
No.
You're talking about the business of law.
No, I'm just saying.
But it's the same kind of question. Like, if you go to your doctor, should your doctor heal you or keep you sick? Because then you're going to keep coming back to the doctor for treatments. Certainly, there are unethical doctors. There's unethical mechanics. There's and in most professions, there are codes of ethics. And for being a lawyer too, and you're supposed to be a zealous representative for your clients. So if you're looking out for your interest above your clients, then there's a big potential you're going to get in trouble, and maybe you should. So sure, my client's interest in a case come first, and my interests, let's say they don't even come in second or third. It's what my client needs.
Of course. And I know you were inspired, and I was excited and inspired by your action. You created a CEU program, Yoga and Mindfulness for Lawyers. So it was actually a course that lawyers could take to learn about meditation and yoga. Mm-hmm. What was of course you wanted to bring this to attorneys, mindfulness. What was the inspiration for this?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was in Zayna and Moses' teacher training program, I didn't forget that I'm a lawyer, even though I'm becoming a yogi. And I wanted to sort of blend and merge the practices, not only to benefit me as a professional, but also to share with other people and other professionals. And just a few months, I think, before I took the teacher training program, I received professional credits, CLE, continuing legal education credits, on a course called Self-Hypnosis for Lawyers. And while I'm in the class, I'm thinking, if I could get credits for self-hypnosis for lawyers, then why couldn't I give a class on yoga and mindfulness for lawyers? And then the edition from the Florida Bar came out with the Mindfulness edition, and the more I learned that lawyers were already going to mindfulness practices to help them through their own personal and professional issues, okay, I'm going to apply to the Florida Bar. I'm going to put together an application that I can share yoga and mindfulness for other lawyers, so it can help them get more job satisfaction, make them more efficient in providing legal services, put them more in touch with their values so that they don't lose sight. A lot of lawyers get burned out because they think, like you were saying, that it's all about the money, and they're only talking about the money. But one thing that I really love about being a lawyer, and you mentioned my father. My father had tried for many years to get me interested in law. I was interested in music, like you said, and environmental sciences. In fact, I was a pollution inspector before I went to law school. I studied environmental sciences. And when I became a lawyer, working as a lawyer, it was in part because I had a license. And what am I going to do? I may as well work as a lawyer. But I found over time a lot of satisfaction for being able to help people who are in difficult situations, that they're going to find me rather than maybe stumble into the wrong person's office who's not going to put their interests first, or not going to give their best effort, or maybe just tell them what they want to hear so they can. Because I had worked for other lawyers. The reason why I work for myself is because I'd worked for other lawyers before, and I wanted to impose my own standards and judgment. Mm-hmm. So I get a lot of satisfaction that I know that somebody comes to me, that they're coming to somebody who really cares and is going to put them first.
That's awesome. That's nice to hear.
I think it's so good, Stu. I think it's so vital to have in any industry people who bring health and wellness and mindfulness, not only to other lawyers, but who you are to your clients when they show up and they're dealing with what they're dealing with and they're under a lot of stress, that you could be space for people to take a deep breath. Mm-hmm. You could be space for people to, really get like, when people are going through things like this, to be told like, listen, this isn't happening. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you. There's something bigger at stake here. There's growth. There's having a different perspective of sometimes a very challenging time in people's lives. I actually, I'm somebody who I'm so thankful to yoga, because I went through 6 years of legal stress, very stressful.
Wasn't fun, was it?
It was horrible. I was being investigated by the SEC, the FBI. I had agents coming to my yoga studio. I was under a lot of stress. And if it wasn't for yoga, I may have, gone down a very, very dark hole, which I sometimes would. But because I had my practice, I had the chanting, the mantras were very important for me. It allowed me to stay afloat during a very challenging time.
Give strength, clarity.
Oh, yeah. And continually coming out of, like, dipping in and out of depression. We're human, thoughts go through our minds all the time. And if we believe every thought that comes through this mind, you will, be put in a crazy asylum, which is what happened to crazy people. They just believe everything they think. So yoga teaches us to be mindful and to observe the thoughts, to observe the emotions, and to observe the bodily sensations and realize that's not who you are. So, and that you are not only sharing that with your clients, but bringing that to other lawyers. I call that the yoga turnaround. Do you know what the yoga turnaround is?
I'm gonna know in a second.
I'm gonna tell you. It's something I distinguish, is that when people discover yoga, they go deep into it and they study. And sometimes they veer off of their track. Like you said, when you did your teacher training, you didn't forget that you were a lawyer. Sometimes people forget what they did before yoga. So they go deep into it.
Maybe they shave their head and wear a loincloth.
They start wearing exactly.
I didn't shave my head. It's natural.
They get rid of their couch. They get a new dog. They start shopping at Whole Foods. They just become yogis, right?
Become a vegan.
There's some really cool yoga togs, and you can buy some at the I Love Yoga studios.
They become vegan. They start talking like a yogi. And then there's a point that comes where they have the yoga turnaround.
They return home.
So if you're a lawyer, if you're a punk band member, if you're a rapper, if you're whatever it is that is your passion before yoga, you return to it. And you return to it as a yogi. And that's what you're doing. That's what you have been doing. This is your yoga turnaround. And having this show is part of your yoga turnaround. And eventually, you'll get another turnaround. You'll go back to the loincloth and the mala beads and all that.
Oh, look who's
okay, but I won't put that on live radio. Deedre, I heard you out there.
Come on in.
Come on in, Dee. That's your seat.
Here's another yoga healer here.
Hi, everybody.
Deedre Tansky Morales.
So this place looks...
You got to talk right into the mic.
Really familiar. Is this where you had...
Yeah, this is Z Nation.
That's crazy. It's like a deja vu when I walked in here.
This is George. He's my boss.
Howdy. And I'm trying to
George
make sure
is the
that
boss.
this microphone is on.
Stu, can I ask?
Let me just go back to what Zayna was saying. And a lot of people think of yoga as a fitness routine. And one thing that I've learned, and so I knew it was more than fitness. I knew it was meditation, and I knew it's about just integration. But one thing I've learned being a yoga teacher, and because of your program, is yoga is a healing profession. People come to yoga studios not just to become fit, but to heal a broken heart because of a loss. And me personally, over the years, I stuck with yoga because sometimes when you feel like things aren't turning out your way, or friends come and go, and maybe you feel lonely, yoga's always there to be a great friend. It never lets you down. You always feel good when you've gone to a yoga class. And then let's bring it back to two more points that you made me think about. One is that law is a healing profession too. People, or it can be.
Yeah.
Okay, done correctly. You're there giving people confidence, peace of mind, results.
Yes.
And then when you're talking about bringing it all back, becoming a yoga teacher and then bringing it back, it reminds me of this beautiful movie that we saw during the I Love Yoga teacher training program called Finding Joe. It's about Joseph Campbell, a very famous sociologist who found that there was a common theme in pretty much every story in human history, and certainly the major stories and myths. It's the return home of the hero. Somebody leaves something behind, finds something challenging, transformational, and they confront it, and they bring it back. And they're
The
a
hero's
different
journey.
person. The hero's journey. And so, and I think that's what, if you're just stuck in what you're doing and you're not going out of your shell, you're not trying to make changes in life, well, then you're not fulfilling your life's purpose. And I'm not telling you what your particular purpose is, but I know that the whole process, it is that hero's journey to step out of your shell, to do something new, to do something that's difficult. And then not only are you changing something, you're changing yourself, and then you're able to share it. And that's why I guess I want to share yoga and mindfulness with lawyers.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so lawyers get a bad rap, right? I love lawyers, okay? I really do. Okay? Because I know so many of them. My father, my brother, and of course everybody loves their father and their brother, right? But so many of my best friends, a common theme that I notice about lawyers are people who are able to see two sides of different issues and are able to go deep into issues, and they're skeptical and they don't just take things on face value. And people who have a lot of different interests. And I was thinking as I was preparing for today's show, like, would I advise somebody else to become a lawyer? Like, people will often say, I'll never tell my kid to follow in my footsteps, never become a dentist because the insurance and the overhead or whatever it is. And a lot of people too, I'd never tell my kid to become a lawyer. I definitely would tell people to become a lawyer because
Why?
the law field is so broad. If you're interested in like family and healing sort of things, you go into family law. If you're interested in scientific issues, it could be that you're going into patent law or environmental law. You can work for the government. And even if you don't become a lawyer and you go to law school, it's a fabulous education. You learn how to become a better advocate, to make persuasive arguments. You learn how to look out for your rights so that people don't take advantage of you. You learn history because the legal system in the United States is based on the British common law system, where what happened in the past governs what happens today. It's called precedence. So how prior courts decided, you look to that for making decisions today. So you learn history, you learn about society and lawmaking. So I think the legal education is very fulfilling. For me, I thought it was like medicine.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a profession that it is about serving people. Like, you've got people's backs. You know, they're going through things and you're there to represent them, to know what they don't know and to say what they can't say.
Well, you know, the word esquire that you see often after a lawyer's names.
Is that a legal
Esquire.
thing? Is that like, do you earn
Well,
that legally,
only-
or can anybody stick that?
You can't, because first of all, there are laws against the unlicensed practice of law, or posing as a lawyer when you're not.
So that means
the
lawyer.
designation ESQ means a lawyer. It didn't always necessarily mean that. It came from Old England, I think, from medieval times, or maybe even it's Latin. I think esquirar or something like that. And it was the squire was the person who would carry the shield for the knight. Okay. And then they became sort of nobility, and they were able to go to court, to go to the king, and to do things that the lay public couldn't do because they had that training, and they were seen to be somebody who you can trust.
Well, they were
for somebody
representatives.
else's interest.
They represented the knight, and they did the things that the knight was either too busy to do or couldn't or wouldn't do for themselves.
Well, they were carrying the shield,
carrying
actually,
the shield.
protecting them.
It was a position of honor,
And
and a knight had more than one squire sometimes, but there was always the squire that represented him and his interests. And like you said, yeah, I studied medieval stuff. I don't know about law, but I know medieval stuff. Ask me about knights.
This guy is an encyclopedia.
Yeah, no.
In fact, we Deedre, Zayna,
Yeah, I was just
Moses,
gonna-
and I, we're the yogis here. But you want to ask questions about Taoism, Bhagavad Gita,
Whatever.
things.
Google
This
put me out of
guy
business. Google
has-
nobody needs me anymore. Google. But
we
what I
love
don't
you.
what I don't know is Deirdre. Is that her name? I don't
Yes,
think
Deedre.
We haven't.
Deedre.
Deedre. We haven't introduced her, so I feel at a loss because y'all know each other and I don't.
and we love her too.
So
And I love all you guys. Yeah, no.
Didi's
No,
Thank you for having me. I'll talk into the microphone.
thank you. Awesome.
Deedre is our partner. She's awesome. She teaches yoga. She's also a yoga trainer.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Those are the things
There
I
you go.
wanted
And
to
that's
know.
George.
And I'm a mom, and I'm a wife, and busy.
All of these things.
All of these
Multifaceted
things.
person.
Yeah.
Excellent. Welcome
And
to our humble studios.
Thank you so much, and my apologies for being tardy, but I was teaching yoga class, so we finished up. We had a great class, so thank you for having me.
We'll give you a pass this time. Welcome to Stuart's
So,
first
Stu, there
show.
were two things I wanted to ask. One, you were encouraging people to become a lawyer, if
they're interested.
If they were interested, and you were speaking about all the possible benefits of it, would you encourage someone to become a yoga teacher? Would you encourage people to study? I know the answer is yes, but but for maybe lawyers out there who have your listening that can feel what you're feeling and your thoughts and your feelings, and would you encourage those people to become yoga teachers or study yoga?
I think yoga's for everybody. And I know a lot of people say, well, yoga's not for me because I'm not flexible. Or meditation isn't for me because I can't stop thinking. And that's not what meditation is about either.
That's what they address. Those things.
Or somebody will say, I went to a yoga studio and it wasn't for me. That's sort of like somebody saying, well, I heard a song once, so it wasn't for me. I don't like music. There's something out there for everybody. And through yoga, you become, yogis are people who are supposed to be in touch with themselves, in touch with their thoughts, their feelings, their body, their breath, with other people, that you're able to pay attention. Yeah, I think yoga, in fact, in our yoga studio, we have a general contractor who comes regularly. We have lawyers who come regularly, and they come for stress relief, to forget about the day, to feel good, because a lot of people also, the physical benefits from yoga. I mentioned earlier in the program, I had sciatica for 2 weeks where I couldn't walk from my car to my house. And I went for an MRI. I spoke to an orthopedic surgeon, and right away he's talking to me about getting steroid injections or maybe shaving off some
surgery?
bone. Yeah, to relieve pressure from the sciatic nerve. I thought, instead of going to yoga once a week, once every other week now, let's see what Google has to say about yoga for sciatica.
Mm-hmm.
And I found some poses, and I started doing it every single day in the dog park when I take my dog there in the morning, all standing poses. And within a couple of months, my sciatica was gone, and it never came back. And then I took the yoga teacher training program, and so for anybody, is yoga for anybody?
Well, there's the physical
Absolutely.
benefits, and then some people could say the only purpose of yoga is to be able to distinguish between what's real and not real, and know what's the truth. So I'm thinking, if you're an attorney, you're dealing with like what's real and what's the truth. Do you ever find yourself with a client who's not being honest, and how do you proceed with that as an attorney?
That's a good question.
Well, as an attorney, you start with the assumption that somebody's not being honest. I mean, you have to be skeptical because you don't want to just go into court and repeat what somebody tells you. You need to have the proof if you're going to win your case. So if somebody tells you something, okay, that's great. Sounds like you have a great case. Where's your evidence? Who are your witnesses? How are you going to prove your case so you get the results that you're looking for? But I think in my dealings with clients, how does being now a yoga instructor, somebody who knows the yamas and the niyamas and knows that yoga is actually the purpose to what they say, calm the fluctuations of the mind, so that your mind isn't going all to center yourself. I think it helps me to be present with people. I think it makes me a better listener, and that makes me a better mediator. It may give you more empathy. We're able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and maybe even if somebody's lying to you. Sometimes people, could be just out of fear, or what's going to happen if it doesn't go right? I got to say what's going to make my case. So to sort of have skepticism and compassion at the same time.
Nice. And the other thing you mentioned briefly, like having a broken heart. We go through so much in our lifetime, and sometimes our hearts get broken. And another thing that you did, which I was inspired by, we all were at the studio, was you created a workshop, which was yoga for people that had been going through maybe a divorce or a breakup. And what was the catalyst for that? Was it something you went through yourself? Was it something you saw was needed in the community and you wanted to offer it? What was behind that?
Well, I don't want to get all teary-eyed and choked up here, but it was for
audience loves
myself
that.
too. It was for myself
Isn't
too.
it always?
Yeah.
You know, we teach what we need to learn the most, so you went right in.
Well, I know that people, as an attorney who handles family cases,
Roll calls.
yeah, we could block. I think I put it on silent. I guess I didn't.
It's
Okay, next show. This is just the first show.
You're
I'll
learning.
remember.
You're using Facebook
Uh-huh.
Live, so
So, not only from my own personal experience, but from being many people's attorney in divorces or mediating divorces, people are angry, people are afraid, people are taking anyone's advice, their best friends, their neighbors, make sure you say this or do that.
Medication.
And medication. People do things that just for revenge, or they're using their children as pawns in their battles. And I think that yoga in times of breakup and divorce can help you to be more present with yourself. Yoga, we learn in all the classes about self-love, about being present, calming your mind so you're not trapped in the past, or you're not worrying about the future. Moses had mentioned before that the system of yoga that most yoga studios are teaching nowadays is Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga, not particularly the practice of Ashtanga, the routines, but Ashtanga means 8 limbs. One of the limbs are asanas, the postures that you're familiar with, the concentration, meditation, breathing exercises, withdrawing your senses from the outer world to the inner world. But the ethical foundation of yoga, the yamas and the niyamas, things to refrain from doing, things to pursue and do as much as you can. 2 of these yamas and niyamas that I focus on in the divorce healing, yoga healing for divorces and breakups workshop are aparigraha, which is non-attachment, so that you're not attached to the past, and you realize, like, hey, same world it was before I met that person. Okay, it didn't work out. This world had love in it before. It still does. So I can access that. So you trust in your abilities, and that gives you some confidence. And another very powerful of the system of ethics, niyama, which means don't restrain yourself, do as much as you can, is santosha, which is contentment or gratefulness. We all have things to be content about. First of all, I'm here. The fact that you made it into this world, okay? Just biologically, there was one out of how many millions of sperm that contacted your mother's egg, right? So the chances were against you. Or the fact that your parents happened to get together that time when it did. Okay, and the world's a beautiful place. Sure, it's difficult because people make it difficult, but there's good weather, there's bird songs, there's
whale songs,
people teaching
sunrise
nice
and
flowers
flowers and music.
There's a lot to be content about, and we all have happy memories, and we all should be content about the things we got to experience in this life.
Well, I
and
know
things
a
we're
lot of
able to
people.
share.
I know a lot of people get a lot of benefit from coming to that workshop, and I know for myself, it's nice to see a place where people can go like-minded people, because you can go to a yoga class and get that benefit, but when it's specifically for people that are going through a tough time and they can talk about it and share and realize they're not the only one, I think it's great. So I'd love to see more of those. Do you have one of those workshops planned?
I think we should do it monthly. That's my goal.
I love it.
Once a month.
Plenty of people going through breakups and divorces.
And that could be something, if you're listening.
And believe it or not, it's a fun workshop. It's not like a weepy, tearful workshop. The idea of the workshop is, like I said, for people to get in touch with their peace here, to get in touch with they have things to be content about. Not to keep rehashing over everything. Okay, it's important to vent, so you let go, you release, but then we dance. We
sing?
I turned on the disco light.
Disco light in the yoga studio?
Yeah, it's yours. He's the DJ in chief.
Disco yoga.
Disco yoga. The strobe lights.
Yeah, it was a
gets
super
down.
fun time.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
And even the workshop for lawyers where they get professional education credits. I try to make that fun too. It's about mindfulness, different types of meditations that lawyers could do anytime where they feel distracted, can't gather their thoughts, they're worried, just to center yourself and quiet the chatter so that you can hear your true voice rather than all the fears and worries that may be coming from your colleagues, maybe your parents in the past, so maybe somebody telling you you're not good enough for this or you're not doing things properly. You just calm it all down and you can judge, because through meditation you get a sense of self-awareness. And I don't think it's from the mental or intellectual assembling of your awareness, but sort of like the way that if you put your hand on a hot stove, you know it's on. You don't need somebody to tell you if it's on or off. When you're meditating, it's a peaceful, calm place. It's a refuge. It's always there to be there for recharging and keeping the stresses of the world out. And then you can feel when you step out of meditation, wait, this idea doesn't feel right. This thing that somebody's asking me to do, I don't think that's really who I am. So meditation helps you to give self-knowledge.
Stuart, what practical, like in those workshops, what practical things do you give to lawyers? For example, like I think of lawyers who go into court. You know, it's like public speaking and then all the pressure. Like what practical tools do you give them, for example, before entering a courtroom?
Well, just dropping into your breath. One of Moses's sayings that stayed with me during a yoga class is peace is always a breath away, and if you want to find more peace, take a few more breaths. So a lawyer may be going into the courtroom and could be nervous because you've got so many facts and so many issues that you have to pull together, and not only to be coherent but to be persuasive. And my father taught me one of the legal lessons is less is more. It's better to say too little than to too. Well, certainly you got to hit the essential points, but a lot of times people will weaken their arguments by saying too much. And I think that that's something that we learn as a yoga teacher as well, is not to say too much during the class so that people can be present with themselves. So an attorney going into a courtroom who might feel anxious and nervous, doesn't want to be there, what am I doing there? Or maybe you have something going on in your personal life that's distracting you from doing your job. So if you could just you could drop into your breath and quiet your mind with just 10 seconds while you're standing outside a courtroom waiting to go in.
Just do a short meditation. And it also would be beneficial for me, like as somebody who was in court and dealing with what I was dealing with, like to have the breath in the courtroom. It made such a big difference for me. It was
Let's
so
do
empowering.
that now. Like even the listeners dropping into the breath, because most people breathe shallow. Like when you were saying about the breath, I could see, how am I breathing? And we're taught in the I Love Yoga teacher training program to tell people constantly, check in with your breath. Don't forget about your breath. Most people breathe very shallow, just at the top of their lungs. And so healthy breathing, conscious breathing, is where you're breathing fully, you're using your diaphragm, you're using your chest, you use all the way up even to your shoulders, and then you just stay relaxed. You're breathing in full, you're using your breath to enhance your posture as you inhale, and as you exhale, you're using your breath for releasing. It could be for releasing fears and negative thoughts.
Can you lead us in that? When I remember we went to the park, the state park. What park was that we went to?
Secret Woods.
The Secret Woods.
Or did we do it in Reynolds Park?
Reynolds
was
Park.
Was it just you and me? Or
yeah,
was it with
he's also a park ranger. Stu Reed is the park ranger.
Awesome.
He knows all the state parks in South Florida,
Does
most
he have
of them.
The hat.
He does have the hat, and he has the shorts.
Awesome.
And he has the kayak,
paddleboard,
and he has the net,
Paddleboards.
the mosquito net, and the bug spray. But it's not regular bug spray. It's made of essential oils. He's like the eco yogi tour guide. But we were at Reynolds Park, and we did the meditation. I'm not sure where you learned that, but where you're inhaling, opening the hands. Could we do that for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that I learned in a book for lawyers. And when I checked it out online, this is a very ancient type of breathing, and meditation practice that I think is Dr. Brian Wheel talking about this, but I learned about it in a book called Mindfulness Primer for Attorneys, written by a local attorney, Scott Rogers. He runs a program at the University of Miami School of Law, Mindfulness in the Law. And we do all kinds of breathing exercises and meditations in yoga classes. But I found this one, when I'm doing it, I feel physically relaxed, and you feel sort of almost like an out-of-body experience sometimes too. It's called 4-7-8 hands breathing. Why? Because you'll breathe in through the nose to the count of 4, and then your hands will open. You keep them rested on your knees, and you relax your shoulders so your hands open slowly to the count of 4 as you're breathing in through your nose. And then 7, your hands stay open, and you hold your breath to the count of 7. Maybe if you could feel your heartbeat or your pulse, that'll count out the tempo for the count of 7. And then 4-7-8, because to the count of 8, your hand slowly close as the breath comes out, but you breathe out through the mouth. Most yoga involves breathing in and out exclusively through the nose, but this, you're breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth with the tip of your tongue on the palate of your mouth behind your teeth. So, yeah, let's try it together. You'll breathe in to 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, close, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Open, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, close, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're still doing it. Let's go ahead. So that was only a couple of times.
So wonderful.
When I do it, I try to do it 4 times, and what
That's
I've
a great
learned and read.
tool.
Yeah, it's
Do you
so
ever share that with
relaxing.
your clients?
This is the. I think I may have. I
Yeah,
think
it's
I may
nice.
have, because
It's
it's
powerful.
very relaxing. If somebody
Well, it gives
is
you something to do too, like the hand thing. Adding that, just like it
I
settles
remember.
the mind.
I remember we were in Reynolds Park. We did a picture of you on that little. If you've never been to Reynolds Park, it's so beautiful. But I remember you sharing that with me.
That's
and
right,
this-
and the trail through the mangroves,
Yeah,
the
we
boardwalk
sat down.
trail.
Yeah, we sat down on the boardwalk trail, and you shared that meditation with me. It was so powerful, and it really stayed with me. And it's like how effective, sharing your breath with someone can be. So thank you for that. That's powerful work. Love it. What about this? What about the music and the sounds? When you started practicing yoga, and you started chanting, were you chanting before?
Well, kind of. I mean,
Mantras, doing the mantras?
Well, I think what is a mantra? I mean, it's anything will center yourself and give you positive thoughts or feelings, and there is a sense of, I guess, being sacred too. That these are.
My teacher, Kristen, would say, Kristen from the Bhakti House Band there in Fort Worth, Texas, she would say mantra, man is mind and tra is freedom. So there's sound vibrations that we repeat that protect or free the mind. But I know that you're a musician, and I know you've been writing music, and you've been also incorporating some mantra.
That's true. Well, a couple of things. Not exactly the same. First of all, do I do mantras? Yes, I do, in a way. Well, there's I guess the best known Jewish prayer for years. I'll say it when I wake up in the morning in my head, or when I'm just sitting outside in the dog park, the Shema. And the part that resonates with me with the Shema, which I think is the most important part, is love God with all your heart, all your might, all your soul, and teach it diligently to your children. And I think it's something to always keep in mind. I mean, even when you're getting down on the world, nothing's working out, why is life so difficult? You got to love God with all your heart, all your might, all your soul, and realize that even the difficult things that come to your life are for your benefit. It gives you strength, it gives you perspective, it gives you empathy. So, and now being a yoga instructor and being exposed to all kinds of mantras, I've incorporated a number of mantras by mixing them into some songs I like to play on the piano. Like we had an open mic night studio at I Love Yoga last
I
Friday.
heard you. You were great.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
one of them was Loka Samasta.
Suki no Bhavantu.
What was
And
the
you-
song? What was
It was a song by Bad Company called Simple Man. And in the song he's saying about freedom's the only thing that means a damn to me. You can't fake it. And so it's got the similar theme. That mantra is may all beings be joyful and free.
You know what's interesting?
Everywhere.
When Z and Deedre and I, when we were forming our partnership, we met with Swami Shankarananda, and he was giving us guidance on being in partnership, almost like a mediator before we went into the partnership. And he is advising us to start every business meeting with a prayer and have our business be about something bigger than us, because there's always going to be arguments or discrepancies with us. So have us be more serving the community. And so we start that. Could we do the mantra before we end today?
Okay, we're not. What time is it?
We got
Is it
8
already-
minutes?
Yeah, so we have a
10.
little bit of
Yeah,
time.
10
Sure,
minutes.
we could.
Don't pay
we
attention
could-
to that clock.
Which clock is it,
Yeah,
George?
no, we have 10 minutes.
But when
So
you're
don't worry about
talking about like mindfulness and meditations and mantras, I have a book called Daily Meditations for Lawyers to help put you in touch with the fact that it's a difficult profession, it's a confusing profession, but it's satisfying if you're able to share healing with people. You're like a navigator taking somebody through circumstances that they have no idea how to get to the safe side.
It's like if you
And
could
you know
just
the
keep
way.
your eye on why you do it. Sometimes it can get stressful, right? Being a lawyer, and you might fail. You may have breakdowns, but ultimately, like us, the mantra "Loka samasta sukhi no bhavantu," may all beings be happy and free. That's why we do what we do.
And may our thoughts, words, and actions contribute to the happiness and freedom for all.
That's yoga. So
And
it's
this is
not
like-
only my happiness and freedom, but yoga means unity. So sure, you want to contribute to your brothers, sisters.
Well, you also mentioned being Jewish and the Jewish prayer in the morning. And if we think of mantras, there's the seed mantra in yoga would be the Om sign, the Om sound, which is said to be the creation vibration of the universe. Do you think there's a coincidence or connection? We were talking about the bridge last night when we were in the Kabbalah yoga class. And Audi is also an attorney from Montreal.
Right, I invited him today.
Do you think there's a connection between the word shalom and the word om? Is there any?
I don't think there's a connection between the two
No?
words, just because the word shalom comes from the root shalem. It's the Hebrew. Most words are based on 3 letters combination, and then you can turn them into verbs or nouns by sticking vowels in between in different places. So shalem means complete. Shalom is peace by adding. So the om sound in shalom is not necessarily have anything to do with the om, but as far as the om sound, I think that there's a similarity in the creation story in Hinduism and Judaism, that in the Bible, the creation starts with a word, that God said, let there be light, and there was light. God said this, God said that, and it happened. And how was the world created in the Hindu story? That Brahma, he was meditating and being what they call in tapas, discipline. So he was disciplined meditator. And then Om, with the sound of Om, the universe was created. So there's a similarity that it all started, everything came from nothing, and it all came from a word,
Sound.
sound.
Yeah.
Sound.
Just like that book, Moses.
Yeah, the mysticism of sound and music.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's awesome.
And one of the best jobs I ever had. I love being a lawyer. I love being a yoga teacher. But I was a DJ when I was in high school, and I would go to parties every weekend. I never had to worry, what am I doing on a Friday night or on a Saturday night? I'm in high school. They give me the keys to the van and go make a good party. You'd eat, you'd meet people. It was awesome. But now as a yoga teacher, I'm a DJ again. And I was so happy yesterday when Zayna complimented me on my song choices, and I heard her singing along during
Stuart's
the
class is great. Yeah, your music choice is awesome. It's very nice.
Thank you. And then what I choose when I'm selecting songs for yoga class, I'm selecting a song where I actually can feel a physical sensation from the song of relaxing. You know how some songs give you goosebumps, some songs make you want to jump up and dance, and others it's like relaxing and releasing. Doesn't mean that it's a quiet, boring song. Sometimes they're not, but it gives you that physical sensation. I try to bring that into the yoga class because in yoga, you want to be able to clear your mind and be relaxed. So I'm not trying to distract people with the music. I'm trying to complement their meditations with the music.
Brilliant.
You're kind of like a Renaissance man, huh?
Yeah.
I've heard that
all over the
before.
place.
You've heard that?
Stuart, you're so full of surprises.
Yeah.
He surprised me the other day, last Monday. He came to my house for the Memorial Day party we had, and he came over with this huge platter of biscotti, which was your grandmother's recipe, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, those
I
were
was-
so good.
So good, man. I'm just saying, like, you're so full of surprises. Everything, like, I'm so captivated.
I'm
by
going to
you.
post the
It's-
recipe on Facebook
You
for my
have
friends
to.
so they can make it. She called it mandelbread, which means almond bread. I don't even make it with almonds. I make
It's
it with
so
peanut butter
good.
chips and walnuts and a lot of cinnamon. Yeah, they're great biscotti. Thank you. My grandma up in heaven is smiling now. She loves sharing that mandelbread.
Well, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
it,
Wow,
too.
there's so much to talk about, but I know we're winding down.
Well, Stu, I just want to thank you for doing what you're doing. It's super inspiring how you've taken what you do, and all your passions, and you just share with the world, and you share in a way that's so selfless and so generous. So thank you for having this show, and thank you for everything you've developed, the breakup, divorce yoga, and the yoga for lawyers. It really makes a difference in the world, and you're very
this radio
inspiring.
show?
Yeah. So
hope so.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, I remember
good
when
stuff,
I was
good
a kid, that was one of my fears, is not making a difference in this world. Because a lot of times, things just don't happen. People don't fall in line, or you're thinking, I can't do it alone, I need a partner. And well, that's why I love being part of the I Love Yoga team, because I don't feel alone. I feel I've got people where we're all supporting each other. And it taught me to be a more sharing person, too. Being a yoga instructor helped me realize, because we use the word sharing all the time, sharing yoga. So that's become a much more important word in my vocabulary nowadays.
Sharing
Whether
is caring.
That's what I taught my daughter.
I was
Gotta
gonna-
teach that to the kids, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Barney may have taught her too.
Teletubbies. Your show, speaking of your show, twice a month, every 2 weeks. And
First and third Mondays each month.
right, but I know that you already kind of have an idea for the next one because I read your notes. So do you want to share that with the audience? What
I'm
you think you're gonna
inviting
have for your next
lawyers to the show so we can talk with lawyers who may do yoga or not, or may have a meditation practice or not. We're going to talk about what the value is for them personally and professionally, so they can have more job satisfaction, be more effective, not only in court, but with their clients and their business, deal with maybe difficult partners. There's so many things that yoga can help you with to be happy, even in the midst of everything falling apart. So long as you still have your breath and you're centered, you still can find happiness.
You have a guest already lined up? Do you have somebody in mind? Just to tease,
I've
or-
invited somebody, and I invited him to do the next show. He's not available, so I'm postponing the lawyer's show to the third show. So actually, now I just realized. So the next show, I think I'm going to invite people who have been in the legal system. They've been involved in lawsuits, or they've had to hire lawyers, and so to ask them about their experiences and to talk about yoga with people who've been in legal confusing situations.
Why don't we throw some plugs to the I Love Yoga studio over there, because and they have a new location.
And we'll have a grand opening.
Oh my God! I can't believe we didn't say that.
Grand
until now.
opening celebration on June 17th. We're going to have all day long free yoga.
Free yoga all day long.
And we're going to have a
Ribbon cutting
ribbon cutting.
10:30.
10:30 a.m. and we're located on Dania Beach Boulevard. We're about 1 mile from the ocean, Dania Beach Pier.
649.
649 East Dania Beach. We're on the north side of the street. It's an orange and white building, and you can see the big letters up on the building that say yoga.
Right next
Everybody
to my
knows the
dream
fireworks
trailer
store.
park.
And across from the fireworks. And we have a big red bus out there now, but maybe by June 17th it'll either be red or orange, because we're doing a 7-month art project. The bus will change colors every month.
Oh, cool.
So come out and celebrate with us on June 17th.
Is that the bus that runs on vegetable oil?
It is. It's a yoga bus, love
Famous.
bus, but it used to be a prison bus.
All right. That's great.
That's complete transformation.
Way to repurpose. I like
And
that.
it's
Beating
an
swords into
analogy like
flesh.
yoga, freeing yourself from the prison of your mind.
Yeah.
Wow.
So please come
That's
out and
good,
visit us.
Stu.
Come out and celebrate. We have classes for everyone. We have kids classes. We have meditation, sound healing, gentle classes, yin, Shakti dance,
Chair
which we love,
yoga.
yoga in a chair. It's going to be a beautiful celebration.
Belly dancing. So fun. Yes.
And
come.
healing foods,
For everyone.
vendors.
Tea.
So I
That'd be
hear the
amazing.
music starting. I think that's our cue to say goodbye. If you
Okay.
want to wave at the camera,
How
I want
about-
to thank
where's the
all of
camera?
you. It's behind you, so they
There's
got the
one
back of
there,
your
They're
head.
everywhere.
There's one
Deedre,
there, there's one there.
Zayna, Moses, George.
Yeah.
I love all of you.
George
I really
Rodriguez.
do.
That's
Can
okay.
we
I
sound out
appreciate-
with Loka Samasta? Did you want
Yeah.
to do
We
that?
can sound out with that, but the very last thing we're going to say is SoFlowRadio.com.
No, yeah. If
So
you say that, the show's over. So don't.
You just did.
Okay. Loka Samasta. Samasta Sukino Bhavantu. Okay, everybody, be happy and free. And thank you, SoFlowRadio.com.
From high atop 1926 Hollywood Boulevard, you're listening to SoFlowRadio.com.